My name is Marcus, and for 28 years I thought I had my life figured out. I had dated women exclusively, had serious relationships, even got engaged once. I knew who I was, what I wanted, and where I was going. Then I met Elijah, and everything I thought I knew became irrelevant. We met at a creative agency in Chicago where I just started as an art director. Elijah was the lead copywriter, brilliant, witty, with this sharp mind that could turn a phrase in ways that made clients weep with gratitude. He was also devastatingly attractive in a way I'd never let myself acknowledge before: dark skin, expressive eyes, a smile that transformed his entire face. "You must be Marcus," he said on my first day, extending his hand. "I'm Elijah. We'll be working together on the Davidson campaign." When I shook his hand, something electric passed between us. I told myself it was just nerves about the new job. I was lying to myself even then. Elijah and I clicked professionally from day one. Our work styles complemented each other perfectly. I'd create visual concepts, he'd craft the words to bring them to life. We won awards, brought in major clients, and became the agency's golden team. But more than that, we became friends. We'd work late together, ordering takeout and brainstorming until midnight. We'd grab coffee every morning, a ritual that started our days. We'd text each other memes and stupid jokes at all hours. My girlfriend at the time, Sarah, used to complain that I talked about Elijah too much. "You spend more time with him than with me," she'd say. She wasn't wrong. 3 months into working together, we were pulling an all-nighter for a pitch. Around 2 a.m., exhausted and punchy from too much coffee, Elijah turned to me. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "Are you happy with Sarah?" The question made me pause. That's a weird thing to ask. "I know, but you talk about her like she's a really good friend, not like someone you're in love with, and I've seen you together at company events. There's no spark." "Not everyone has spark," I said defensively. "Some relationships are about compatibility and shared goals." "That sounds incredibly depressing." "What about you?" I shot back. "I haven't seen you date anyone since I started here." He was quiet for a moment. "I date, just no one I work with knows about it. I keep my professional and personal life separate." "Why?" "Because it's easier that way." Something in his tone told me not to push further. We went back to work, but his words stayed with me. Was I happy with Sarah? I thought I was. We got along well, had similar life goals, rarely fought. Wasn't that enough? Sarah and I broke up 6 months after I started at the agency. It was mutual, amicable. We'd both realized we were more roommates than partners. She moved out of our apartment, and suddenly I had all this space and freedom I didn't know what to do with. Elijah helped me move her stuff out, brought pizza and beer, and stayed until 2 a.m. helping me rearrange furniture. "You doing okay?" he asked as we sat on my newly reorganized couch. "Yeah, actually, is it weird that I'm relieved?" "No, sometimes relationships run their course, nothing wrong with that." "Have you ever had your heart broken?" I asked. The beer was making me bold. "Once, badly. That's why I'm so careful now." "What happened?" He studied me for a long moment, as if deciding whether to trust me with the truth. "I fell in love with someone who couldn't love me back, not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't admit what they wanted, to themselves or anyone else." "That sounds painful." "It was, still is sometimes." He stood abruptly. "I should go, it's late." After he left, I lay in bed thinking about what he'd said, about the person who couldn't admit what they wanted, about the way Elijah never talked about his dating life, about how he'd said he kept his personal life separate from work. And then, like a puzzle piece clicking into place, I understood. Elijah was gay. The realization didn't shock me as much as it should have. In fact, it explained a lot: the careful distance he maintained, the way he never mentioned partners, the coded language he sometimes used. What did shock me was the feeling that came with the realization: jealousy. I was jealous of whoever Elijah dated, whoever got to be close to him in ways I couldn't, and that made absolutely no sense because I was straight. Wasn't I? Over the next few months, I couldn't stop thinking about Elijah. It started consuming me, analyzing every interaction, replaying conversations, looking for meaning in casual touches and shared smiles. I started noticing things I'd deliberately ignored before: the way my heart rate increased when he entered a room, How I looked forward to our morning coffee ritual more than anything else in my day. The disappointment I felt when he left early or had plans that didn't include me. I was also noticing other men for the first time, really noticing them. I'd catch myself checking out a guy at the gym or appreciating an actor's looks in a movie, and I'd feel this weird mix of excitement and panic. Was I gay? Had I been in denial my whole life? "You've been weird lately," Elijah said one afternoon as we worked on a campaign. "Everything okay?" "Fine," I lied, just distracted. "By what?" "By you asterisk," I wanted to say. "By the way you exist and the way I can't stop thinking about you and the way everything I thought I knew about myself is crumbling." "Just life stuff," I said instead. He didn't push, but I could see the concern in his eyes. That night, alone in my apartment, I finally admitted the truth to myself. I was attracted to Elijah, not just as a friend, not just as a colleague. I wanted him in a way I'd never wanted anyone before, man or woman. And I had no idea what to do about it. 3 months after my breakup with Sarah, the agency threw a holiday party. Open bar, fancy venue, everyone dressed up and ready to celebrate a successful year. I'd had too much to drink, not stumbling drunk but enough to lower my inhibitions, enough to make me brave or stupid. Elijah looked incredible that night, fitted suit, tie slightly loosened, laughing with colleagues in a way that made everyone around him light up. I watched him from across the room, unable to look away. He caught me staring and made his way over. "You okay?" he asked. "You look like you're having an existential crisis." "Maybe I am," I said. "Want to talk about it?" "Not here, can we?" I gestured toward the balcony. Outside, the Chicago winter air was biting, but it helped clear my head slightly. We stood at the railing looking out at the city lights. "What's going on, Marcus?" Elijah asked gently. "You've been off for months. If something's wrong, you can tell me. We're friends." "That's the problem," I said before I could stop myself. "What?" "Being friends, it's not enough." "Elijah, I stopped, terror and desire warring inside me. "You what?" His voice was careful, controlled. "I think I have feelings for you, and I know that's insane because I've only ever dated women. But ever since Sarah left, all I can think about is you. The way you laugh, the way your mind works, the way you make everything better just by being there. And I don't know what that means or what to do about it, but I needed to tell you because it's killing me." The silence that followed felt eternal. Elijah's expression was unreadable, his hands gripping the balcony railing. "You're drunk," he said finally. "I'm tipsy, but I'm not so drunk that I don't mean this." "Marcus, do you have any idea what you're saying, what you're asking?" "I'm not asking for anything, I'm just being honest." "Being honest?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're being honest after I've spent a year pretending I don't feel the same way, after I've been carefully managing every interaction, every touch, every word to make sure you never figured out that He cut himself off. "My heart stopped. That you what?" "That I've been in love with you since the first month we worked together." His voice was raw now, all pretense stripped away. "That watching you with Sarah was torture. That every coffee, every late night, every moment we spent together was both the best and worst part of my day because I got to be close to you but never in the way I wanted." "Elijah." "No, let me finish. I'm gay, Marcus, fully, completely, no question about it. And I've learned to be careful about who I develop feelings for because people like you, straight men who are kind and brilliant and funny, are dangerous. Because you make me hope for things that can't happen." "What if it can happen?" I moved closer. "What if I'm not as straight as I thought?" "You don't know what you're saying. You're going through a breakup, you're questioning everything, and I'm the closest person to you right now. But that doesn't mean you're actually attracted to men. It doesn't mean this is real." "How do I know if it's real?" I asked desperately. "I don't know, Marcus, but I can't be your experiment. I can't be the guy you try things out with to see if you're bi or curious or whatever. I've been that guy before and it nearly destroyed me. So unless you're absolutely certain, unless you're ready to blow up your entire understanding of yourself, we need to pretend this conversation never happened." "And if I can't pretend?" "Then I don't know what to tell you." He turned to go back inside. "I think you should go home, sleep this off. We can talk Monday when you're sober." He left me standing on the balcony, my world spinning, my heart racing. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, replaying every word of our conversation, every revelation. Elijah had loved me for a year, and I'd been too blind to see it. But more than that, I'd admitted my feelings, put them out there, and now I had to figure out if they were real. I spent the weekend doing what I always did when facing a problem: research. I read articles about late blooming sexuality, watched videos of people discussing their coming out experiences as adults, joined anonymous online forums where people shared their stories of realizing they were bi or gay after years of thinking they were straight. And I thought about every relationship I'd ever had with women. Had I been genuinely attracted to them, or had I been performing attraction because it was expected? The more I examined my past, the more I realized there'd always been something missing. A spark that everyone talked about but I'd never quite felt. I'd attributed it to maturity, to being past the horny teenager phase, but maybe it was something else. Maybe I'd been attracted to men all along and just didn't have the framework to understand it. I thought about the men I'd found attractive over the years, always dismissing it as admiration or aesthetic appreciation. The way I'd been drawn to certain male actors, athletes, colleagues, how I'd always found reasons to justify why I noticed them. And then I thought about Elijah, the way my whole body came alive around him, the way I could talk to him for hours and never get bored, the way I wanted to touch him, hold him, kiss him, things I'd never felt with such intensity for anyone. This wasn't confusion or experimentation, this was real. Early, I needed to talk to Elijah before I lost my nerve. He arrived at his usual time, and I could see him steel himself when he saw me waiting by his desk. "Morning," he said carefully. "How was your weekend?" "Enlightening. Can we talk somewhere private?" We went to a conference room. Elijah sat across the table from me, his expression guarded. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," I started, "about what you said, about what I said about myself." "Marcus, please, let me finish. You were right that I was questioning everything. But you were wrong about why. I'm not confused because of the breakup or because you're convenient. I'm confused because I've spent 28 years performing a version of myself that I thought was real, but it wasn't complete." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I think I'm bi, or maybe pan, or maybe I just like people, and gender doesn't matter as much as I thought. The labels don't matter right now. What matters is that I'm attracted to you, Elijah. Not as an experiment, not as confusion, as a real, genuine feeling that I can't ignore anymore. And when you figure out you were wrong, when you realize you actually prefer women and this was just a phase. What if I don't? What if this is who I've always been and I was just too scared or conditioned or whatever to see it? Elijah, I can't promise I have everything figured out, but I can promise that what I feel for you is real, more real than anything I've felt before." He was quiet, his hands pressed flat against the table. "You have no idea what you're asking of me." "Then tell me, help me understand." "You're asking me to take a chance on someone who's still figuring out his sexuality, who might wake up in 6 months and realize he made a mistake. And Marcus, I don't know if I can survive that. I barely survived it the first time." "The person you mentioned, who couldn't admit what they wanted." "Yeah, he was my best friend. We'd known each other for years. And one night, drunk and emotional, he told me he thought he might have feelings for me. We kissed. He stopped, pain crossing his face. We started something, and for 3 months it was perfect, until his family found out, until he had to choose between me and everyone he'd ever known. And he chose them, went back to dating women, got married, pretended those 3 months never happened." "I'm not him," I said firmly. "How do I know that?" "Because I'm here, stone cold sober in the middle of a workday, telling you this. Because I've spent the entire weekend researching and thinking and accepting parts of myself I've denied for years. Because I'm not running away, I'm running toward this, toward you. What if it doesn't work? What if we try this and realize we're better as friends? Then we deal with that if it happens. But Elijah, what if it does work? What if we're perfect together? Don't we owe it to ourselves to find out?" He looked at me for a long moment, and I could see the internal battle happening: hope fighting fear, desire fighting self-preservation. "If we do this," he said slowly, "we have to be honest with each other about everything. And if at any point you realize this isn't what you want, you tell me immediately. No pretending, no stringing me along because you don't want to hurt me. Clean break." "I can do that." "And we keep it quiet at work. Not because I'm ashamed, but because office relationships are complicated and we need to protect our professional reputation." "Agreed." And Marcus, he finally met my eyes. You have to be patient with me. I want to trust you. I want to believe this is real, but I'm scared, really scared. I reached across the table and took his hand. I'm scared too, but I think the best things in life are scary. He squeezed my hand, and for the first time since Friday night, he smiled. When do you want to start? How about dinner tonight? Okay, but Marcus, I'm going to take this slow. We're not rushing into anything. Slow is good, I'm still figuring things out anyway. Fair enough, he stood up but didn't let go of my hand. For what it's worth, I really hope this works. Me too. That night, we met at a quiet restaurant away from our usual haunts. It felt surreal sitting across from Elijah at a candle-lit table knowing this was a date, our first date. This is weird, I said. Very weird, he agreed. Good weird, though. Definitely good weird. The initial awkwardness faded as we talked. We'd always been good at conversation, and that didn't change just because the context had shifted. But now there was this undercurrent of attraction, of possibility that made everything more charged. Can I ask you something? Elijah said over dessert. Anything. When did you first realize that you might be attracted to men? I thought about it. Honestly, I think I've always noticed men, I just didn't let myself interpret it as attraction. Like in high school, I had this friend Jake who I was obsessed with. I told myself I just wanted to be like him, to be his friend. But looking back, I think I had a crush on him. Did you ever act on it? God, no, I was so deep in denial I didn't even realize that's what it was. What about you? When did you know you were gay? Pretty young, actually, maybe 12 or 13. I had a crush on this guy in my class and I just knew, but my family is religious conservative, so I stayed closeted until college, came out to my friends, started dating but never told my parents. Are they still in your life? Yeah, but they don't know about that part of me. It's complicated. I see them a few times a year and I just don't mention it. They think I'm perpetually single. That must be hard. It is, but it's easier than dealing with rejection and condemnation. He paused. What about your family? How do you think they'll react when you tell them about all this? I honestly don't know. They're pretty liberal, but there's a difference between supporting LGBTQ plus rights in abstract and having your son come out as bi. I guess I'll find out. After dinner, Elijah walked me to my car. We stood there in the parking lot, neither of us wanting the night to end. I had a good time, he said. Me too, can we do it again? Definitely, but Marcus, I meant what I said about taking it slow. I need time to trust that this is real. I understand, we'll go at whatever pace you need. He smiled, then leaned in and kissed my cheek. Good night, Marcus. I drove home with my heart racing, touching the spot where his lips had been, marveling at how such a simple gesture could feel so significant. Over the next few months, Elijah and I dated in secret. Dinners, movies, long walks, late-night conversations. We kept it hidden from our colleagues, maintaining our professional friendship at work while exploring something more outside of it. And I was discovering things about myself I'd never known. Like how different it was to be with a man, the stubble against my skin when we kissed, the strength in Elijah's hands, the way we fit together, both of us masculine but in different ways. Like how much easier it was to communicate. Maybe it was just Elijah, but we talked about everything, feelings, fears, desires, none of the guessing games or assumptions I'd navigated with women. Like how right it felt to hold his hand, to kiss him, to be close to him. There was no performance, no trying to be someone I wasn't, just me, the real me. You look happy, my friend Chris said one day over lunch. New girlfriend. Something like that, I said carefully. I wasn't ready to come out yet, especially not at work. Well, whoever she is, she's good for you. You've been different lately, lighter. That night, I told Elijah about the conversation. Does it bother you, he asked, having to hide? Yes and no, I mean, I'm not ready to come out at work yet, but I also hate lying. Hate that I can't just say I'm seeing someone amazing and I'm really happy. When do you think you'll be ready? I don't know, I need to figure out how to tell my family first. Once I do that, work will be easier. No pressure, we're going at your pace. It should be our pace. Elijah, I don't want you to feel like I'm ashamed of you or of us. I don't feel that way. I know this is a lot for you to process. Coming out isn't easy, especially when you've lived most of your life thinking you were straight. Were you scared when you first came out? Terrified? My first boyfriend, I was so paranoid about people finding out. It took years before I was comfortable being openly gay. Even now, there are situations where I'm not out like with my family, so I get it, Marcus, I really do. 6 months into our relationship, I decided it was time to tell my parents. Elijah had been patient, never pushing, but I could tell it bothered him when I'd dodge questions about my personal life or couldn't bring him to family events. I invited my parents to brunch on a Sunday. My mom immediately knew something was up. "What's wrong?" she asked the moment she saw me. "You look nervous." "Nothing's wrong, I just need to tell you guys something." My dad set down his menu. "You're not sick, are you?" "No, Dad, I'm fine, I'm actually really happy. I've been seeing someone and it's getting serious. And I wanted you to know." "That's wonderful," my mom said. "What's her name?" "His name is Elijah." The silence that followed was deafening. My parents exchanged looks and I could see them recalibrating everything they thought they knew about me. "His name," my dad repeated. "Yes, Dad, Mom, I'm bisexual. I've been dating Elijah for 6 months and I'm in love with him." More silence, then my mom spoke. "How long have you known that you were bisexual?" "I've been figuring it out over the past year. I think I've always been bi, I just didn't realize it until I met Elijah." "What about Sarah and all your other girlfriends, were those not real?" my mom asked, her voice pained. "They were real, I genuinely cared about them, but there was always something missing that I couldn't identify. With Elijah, everything just clicks. He understands me in ways no one else ever has." My dad had been quiet, processing. Finally he spoke. "Are you happy?" "Really happy, Dad, happier than I've ever been." "Then that's what matters." He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "It's going to take us some time to adjust. We had expectations, assumptions about your life, but if Elijah makes you happy, we want to meet him." My mom was crying now, but she nodded. "I love you, Marcus, this doesn't change that, I just need time to understand." "That's all I'm asking for, time and acceptance." The rest of brunch was awkward but not hostile. We talked about Elijah, about how we met, about our relationship. My parents asked questions, some uncomfortable, some sweet, but they were trying and that was enough. When I told Elijah later that night, he held me while I cried with relief. "I'm proud of you," he said. "I know how hard that was." "They want to meet you, are you ready for that?" "Absolutely, though I'm terrified your dad's going to grill me." "Oh, he definitely will, he grills everyone I date. Even the guys. Especially the guys, equal opportunity interrogation." Elijah laughed and I realized this was what I'd been missing my whole life, this easy joy, this complete acceptance, this sense of being fully known and fully loved. I moved in together. We'd been spending most nights at one or the other's apartment anyway, and it made sense to officially combine our lives. We also came out at work. The agency was supportive, several colleagues had suspected anyway, and nothing changed professionally. If anything, not having to hide made us better at our jobs, we could be fully ourselves. My parents had come around completely. They loved Elijah and my mom frequently complained that we didn't visit enough. My dad and Elijah bonded over sports and grilling techniques. It was normal, domestic, perfect. One night, as we were cooking dinner together in our apartment, Elijah turned to me. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you ever regret it, taking so long to figure yourself out, all those years dating women?" I thought about it. No, because those experiences were part of my journey to you. I needed to go through all of that to understand what I actually wanted, what I actually needed. "Which is?" "You, obviously," I kissed him. "But more than that, I needed to understand myself, to get comfortable with the fact that sexuality is fluid, that I can be attracted to different people in different ways, and that's okay." "So you're definitely bi, you're sure?" "I'm sure I'm not straight. Whether that makes me bi or pan or queer or just into people regardless of gender, I don't know. The label matters less than the reality, which is that I'm in love with you and I want to build a life with you, and gender has nothing to do with why." "You know what I love about you," Elijah said. "What?" "You're not afraid to question everything. Most people go through life accepting what they're told about themselves. You looked at your whole identity and said, wait, is this actually true? That takes courage. I had good motivation, you were worth questioning everything for. Later that night, lying in bed together, I thought about how different my life was from what I'd imagined. I'd always pictured myself married to a woman with kids, living a conventional suburban life. Now I was with a man, living in a loft apartment in Chicago, building a life that looked nothing like what I'd planned. And it was so much better. Elijah, I said into the darkness. Thank you. For what? For being patient with me, for loving me even when I was figuring things out, for taking a chance on someone who had no idea what he was doing. You gave me something I thought I'd never have, a real relationship with someone who chose me fully and completely, so thank you too. I love you. I love you too. It's been 5 years since I first admitted to Elijah that I had feelings for him. 5 years of discovery, growth, and love. People ask me sometimes what it's like to come out later in life, to realize you're not who you thought you were, and I tell them the truth, it's terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Yes, I spent 28 years thinking I was straight. Yes, I dated women and even loved some of them, but that doesn't make my current identity less valid. Sexuality is fluid. People change and grow and discover new things about themselves. I also tell them about Elijah, about how falling in love with him taught me that connection transcends gender, that chemistry isn't about body parts or societal expectations, it's about finding someone who sees you, understands you, challenges you to be better. Some people, usually straight people, ask me if it's different being with a man versus being with women, and I tell them honestly, yes, it's different. The physical dynamics are different, the social dynamics are different, but the emotional core of love, that's the same. What matters isn't the gender of the person you love. It's the depth of connection, the quality of communication, the ability to be fully yourself with another person. Elijah gave me that. He gave me a safe space to explore who I really was. He loved me through confusion and fear and uncertainty. He never made me feel like I had to have everything figured out before I could be with him. And in return, I gave him something he thought he'd never have, someone who chose him completely, who didn't see being with him as a sacrifice or compromise but as the greatest gift. We're engaged now, planning a wedding for next summer. My parents are helping plan it, my dad insisting on walking both of us down the aisle since we're both his sons now, his words. We're building a life together, messy and imperfect and absolutely perfect for us. Sometimes I think about the Marcus who walked into that agency 5 years ago, convinced he knew exactly who he was. I want to tell him, you have no idea what's coming. You're about to meet someone who will change your entire world. And it's going to be scary and confusing and the best thing that ever happens to you. Because here's the truth I learned. You can spend your whole life thinking you know yourself and then meet one person who shows you you've only been seeing a fraction of who you are. And if you're brave enough to explore that, to question everything, to let yourself be transformed, the reward is love beyond anything you imagined possible. He wasn't just better than the women I dated, he was better than anything I could have planned for myself, because he was real and true and exactly what I needed even when I didn't know I needed it. That's what love is, not settling into expectations, not performing a role, but finding someone who makes you want to discover every part of yourself, even the parts that scare you. And then building a life with them, one brave choice at a time. The end. This story is about self-discovery, about the courage it takes to question everything you thought you knew, and about love that transforms you. Whether you're questioning your sexuality or have already found your truth, remember, it's never too late to become who you really are.